Hey everyone. So today we're going to be continuing this conversation that we've been having over the last couple of weeks. We're going to be adding on to what we spoke about with regards to the New Zealand tour, but also trying to prepare for the new season ahead. There's obviously a domestic campaign that's meant to be kicking off very soon, and we are awaiting the fixtures for that we will be announcing on the show as well when they do get announced. On today's show, I'm going to be talking about the bowlers from the 2022-23 Division 1 season, because what's been happening is that I think that that's probably going to be the hardest aspect of the selection when it comes to that particular um, campaign when we do hit that. Now, there's a couple of things that we will talk about with regards to the 4 days. We'll go through the 4 day series Division One list of bowlers, and we'll see who are the ones that stood out last season. Just to give us some insight into which ones are the ones to look out for heading into this brand new season in Division One. So that's what today's show is going to be primarily about. It's going to be about the that particular show is going this particular show is going to be diving into the 4 day bowlers and which ones did well and which ones did not do so well last season, and who are the ones that are going to step out maybe this season going ahead. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. We are about 50 odd away from the 4,000 mark, the 4K mark. That's a milestone that we want to reach. So please help us get there if you can. We also want you, please, to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now. I'll put it up on the screen right now, as well as in the description. So please go ahead and do so as soon as you can. Then I'd also like you guys to please help us do what we are doing here as well. We are trying our best to keep this maintain the amount of shows we're doing. We in the future we also want to do more, and we want to do extra things for you guys and extra special things for you guys. So please also, besides downloading the magazine, also become a patron today, so that you can help us do what we do over here at Cricket Fanatics magazine. So, without further ado, let's get into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. Let's see what we can try and figure out from last year's list. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moeddin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today we're going to be continuing what we've been discussing over the last couple of weeks. I thought that this would be a perfect time for us to maybe preview or like start the conversation with regards to the new season. I think that we should start discussing maybe some of the players that have done well last season, and maybe look at which bowlers are going to step up this season, so that we can actually really go into this and get into and get into this discussion, so that we can maybe prep for the new season and know who to keep our eyes on, etc., who we should keep a focus on, and who will step up for the challenge this year, because it's going to be a difficult one. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to maybe revive their careers, or maybe some of them that want to prove a point by continuing where they left off last season. So I think there's quite a bit to chat about, and quite a bit to look into. What I normally do with these type of shows is that I try and give you guys an opportunity to look at the lists with me. So for it helps us as a community to also see what we are doing, and who are the guys that are good, and to discuss it as well, because it's very good to have you guys in the live chat also give me suggestions based on the statistics that we see over there, based on everything that we know from the stats. I mean, it's difficult to also only look at stats. I mean, we know that it's also good to obviously look at certain things other than the stats and see these players with the naked eye as well, because that gives us some insight into who are the players that are maybe did not get the wickets, but they were maybe close, or they were maybe drop catches or whatever. Sometimes bowlers get very unlucky, um, and they don't always get the outcomes that they could have with certain things. But obviously, the be all and end all when you look at these type of things is obviously going to be wickets. I mean, majority of times people are going to look at the wickets and say, okay, cool, this guy is either good or this guy isn't good. So we will go through this list right now and have a look at it all together and see who are those players that stood out last season. So I normally go to the I go to Click Info for this, generally speaking, because they have all the stats ready for us and waiting for us already. So I like to use them um, as a as a site because they're pretty accurate and they have everything nicely set out for us over here. So yeah, let's get into it. Here's the list from last season. Now, as you know, Bayer Swanepoel won Domestic Newcomer of the Year this season for the 4-day competition, 4-day series, Player of the Year. And he was right on top of the wickets tally this season with 33 wickets in 7 matches at an average of 16.12 and an economy of 2.98. So he had a really good season with two 5-wicket hauls and three 4-wicket hauls. Um, he had a really good season for the Warriors. Yes, the Warriors never won the competition or whatever, but it was good to see him do well. And particularly in a season where a lot of the spinners dominated. As you can see here, Sobrayan, Maharaj, Smuts, and Fortain, they make up the rest of that top five. So that's very important to look at when you see the list, because a lot of spinners really did well this season. Now, it also has a lot to do with Durban, and also got a lot to do with some of the grounds this year were quite spinner friendly. So to see a seam bowler right up on top, it really helps to know that, you know. But when we're thinking about the New Zealand series, and it's a very far, still very far away for us to start thinking about selection, etc. We can give our suggestions right now, of course, on what we think could happen and what we think should happen. But the one positive for the coach is that there's a full domestic season to look at before the series against New Zealand. So we'll be able to track these players over the next couple of months and see how they perform. And then from there, we can add up the stats from the season and last season and kind of see who are the ones that were consistent. That will give us a better gauge into knowing who is going to be selected. But already, when you look at this list right here in front of us, um, so Brian, Maharaj, Smuts, and Fortain are players that will be in the SA20 this season. So they are already out of contention if we're looking for a spinner in this department. But I think the seam bowling department is also is something that we struggle with when it comes to selection. Now, Payers isn't the fastest bowler. We did an exclusive interview on this channel with him that you guys can go watch, where we spoke about where he spoke about his pace, he spoke about his skills and what makes him a good player, etc. So you guys can go look at that interview to get some more insight into Bayer Swanepoel. But we know that he can swing the ball both ways. Now in New Zealand, that might come in handy as a potential, and we don't know if he's going to get picked up in the season or not, in the SA20 or not. So we'll have to wait and see for that. But it could be a possible option, especially for that number 8 role going in, with us not going to have, with Marco Jansen not going to be available for this test series. Then if I look at some of the other seamers, we've got Bjorn Hendricks over here, could be in for a possible shout. We've got Lutus Pamla, who is another one that could possibly be, unless he gets picked up in the SA20. Then you've got Clinton Steerman. And we shouldn't forget Dane Patterson as well. Dane also had a very good season last season, and he bowled really well for Western Province. So he has experience, something that we will need, and also we can at least know that the coach does know him quite well as well. So it really helps. Then you've got Ronaldo May over here, that is also on this list as a fast bowler in the high 130s, early 140s, I think he bowls. So that's another option, maybe, perhaps. We know Senator Mutasami got picked up. Then we've got Tsipa Moreki over here. He also really bowled well. We saw him in the SA tour. Whether he'll be picked up in the auction, we'll have to wait and see. But it's another potential option. Um, Delano Potgieter is on this list as well as an all-rounder, but we know he's going to be picked up probably in the SA20. Tsepo Ndwandwa is a spinner, so that's another spinner on the list. Sean Van Berg's another spinner, so maybe we could perhaps call someone like Sean Van Berg into the mix as a spinner, with Simon Harmer probably already been picked up, etc. So, and Keshaf and all of the other spinners that did well last season. So that's maybe a left field one that we could possibly look at. Susana Magala will definitely get picked up in the SA20, and Ziad Abrams was also someone that did get picked up last year, so he will possibly be picked up this year. And then we've got Hawken over here, which could also be another shout. I remember about 5-6 years ago, I interviewed Morne Morkel at JP Dumini's foundation launch. It's just sorry, the JP21 project launch. And I asked Mone Mokel that time, who is a young bowler that you maybe are looking at, that maybe excites you, that's coming through the system. And he mentioned Aldred Hawken to me at that time. He said, but I don't think Hawken's career has gone maybe as planned, perhaps, but we know he has a lot of pace. Um, and it could be another option. Lazard Williams is at 20 bound, probably. Simmons is at 20 bound already. We saw that. Um, we've got Aishul Kluti as a fast bowler over here. Here, George Linder sitting as a spinner. But Aishul Kluti is another fast bowler, 140 a bowler. It's possible that he won't get picked up in the SA20. So he did have an injury-stricken season again. He has been struggling with injuries over his career. So that's maybe not something. I hope that this season maybe will be an injury-free season for him, because he's had some troubles with injuries in the past, and I'm hoping that he can go through the season without any injuries, because he had a lot. I saw him for the first time at Kaya Majola week. I think he was 16, turning 17 in that particular Kaya Majola week. I think in 2016, and he really stood out to me as a potential bowler. He was too good to play for the youngsters to actually play him. The amount of deliveries that I saw beat the bat and the wickets by like an inch, it was remarkable. I think in one match alone, I saw him beat the bat like 3-4 times, and the stumps about three out of the 5 times that he beat the bat, he missed the stumps by just a bit. He got a couple of nicks that was dropped in the slips. So that also um, didn't help him, and that was just the one game that I watched. In one game, there was some similar things that happened to him in other games too, but I think he only ended that campaign with 13 wickets. He would have had so much more in that season. But he did get selected. I was in the hero of the day panel, and we also had a say in the SA school selection, and he actually ended up being one of the um, selections that people didn't think would happen. He was one of the standout players that got selected, that was a bit left field, and he got selected in the SA schools team for that Kaya Majola week. So he's been on my mind for quite some time. I've always known that he would be had the potential to be something, but his career has been really, really stalled by injuries, and I'm hoping that he can have an injury-free season this season. We know Gerald Coetzee has been picked up already. Ethan Bosch is picked up already. And then we've got Van Heerden. Now, he is someone that really came through at the Knights and has really impressed quite a few people. And I think that's someone that we can also look at, perhaps as a fast bowler. Then Amani is another option, perhaps, and he's also an all rounder, so that gives us extra understanding of that. We know that Modemakwane has been starting to create some sort of buzz around him as well, on the scene. Um, he is a player that we hope we can see really come through that through the system. Um, so yeah, that is something that we have to also keep an eye on. And then I don't know these other players from the Knights really. I haven't really got to watch the Knights as much. We got Soboto, that's a familiar name. It's also someone that perhaps might finally get his call up. We did an exclusive interview on this channel as well with Soboto. We mentioned that that he's hoping that he gets an opportunity to play for the Proteas one day. It's still his dream. Um, even though he is quite experienced now. Um, he's always hoped that he could one day play for the Proteas, and he believes in himself that he can still do it. And this might be a good opportunity now for him to maybe do that. Then Dayan Khalim is an all-rounder. He's also a fast bowler in the 140s, so that's also another option as well. I'm hoping that he gets more game time this season. It was quite surprising to me to see what happened with him because he was a type of player he was the player that won Titans Player of the Season the previous season, and then this season he hardly got picked. So that was quite a shock for me, and I hope that he does get more game time with regards to that. Um, we've got Mapungwana as well, who some people have said that he needs to he has a lot of potential. A lot of people have said that. I've seen him play as well, and I think he does have quite a bit of potential, but he's still young. And I do think that a couple of seasons won't do him any harm. It will actually help maybe strengthen his chances of being that type of player. I like what I've seen with him with the bat. Obviously, we would like to see him bowl more. He also picked up quite a bit of injuries at crucial times, which might also be a little bit of a problem over there. Then Nceke, we know that he's been a rising star in South African cricket, particularly because of his performances. I think it was in the CSA T20 Challenge, or was it the CSA Knockout, one of the two. So yeah, he had a decent season. I mean, 7 wickets, five in 5 matches. Can do better though. Let's see how he does this season. Cody Yusuf most likely will get picked up. Junadala picked up. Then we've got Nabe over here. So Sia Plaik is a possibility as well if he can continue his performances like he had last season. He only played 2 games last season, but maybe he gets more game time for the Warriors. Um, and Tini, yeah, I think he's playing in Division 2 now, if I'm not mistaken. Or is he might be Division 1 for Tuskers. I'm not 100% sure. I need to obviously confirm that. Then Duan Olivier is on this list as well. He's someone that was mentioned a couple of times. Darren De Pavlon's on this list as well. Didn't have the best of seasons last year in 4-day arena, but it's someone that we can keep an eye on. So those are kind of the players that I'm thinking of so far. Ones that have really stood out with the ball. So we can possibly have a look at these guys and keep them in our minds going into the new season, because I think that that's the one positive out of all of this, is that at least Coach Conrad will have a full season for the players to actually check them in action again, see how they perform, with them knowing that there's an opportunity up for grabs to possibly play in a test match. That if you're not motivated now, then you won't ever be if with that on the cards. So let me get into some of your live chats and see what you guys have had to say. Now that I've gone through the list, I think Bay Swanepoel will be bought by my Cape Town in the SA20 auction. He's currently in UK with Rickleton, Putrita, and Robbie P, with some IPL players for Mumbai Indians training camp. Um, I like Kamani from the Titans. Also, Magala was good shout. Yeah, but Magala is definitely going to be picked up in the SA20. I doubt anybody will not pick him up. Lawrence saying Sepo Moreki might be a very good option for New Zealand tour if he isn't picked up in the auction. He had a very good domestic season last season, and he did. He had a very good domestic season, yes, across all formats. You're 100% right. Um, do you think it's soon to give guys like Kwena Mapaka and Liam Alder an opportunity to tour as reserves? Well, Kwena Mapaka already got picked up in the SA20, so that's not going to happen. Leon Alder, decent player as well. If either of them don't get bought in the auction, well, Kwena's already been picked up um, already. Ahmed saying, to be really honest, apart from the players already in the Pro Tour setup, nobody excelled that much. Talking about fast bowlers, yeah, the fast bowlers didn't really. It was a spinners year, a spinners season. As you saw, that the spinners dominated last season. A lot of them took wickets and were quite successful last season, and it's got a lot to do also with the grounds that they've been playing at. Sean Whitehead was brilliant with the bat and ball for Garden Route Badgers last season. It was in Division 2, however. I I like them both. I fear Aldo will get picked up as a rookie pick, just like Mapaka, who's at the Paul Royals currently. Yes, Harley Dame Patterson seems nailed on for pick. Luto too. Just hope they stay fit. Yeah, both of them do. Kona Manyaka seems very talented. He is very talented. I just don't think he has lived up to his potential quite yet. I remember watching him at I think it was the a T20, a CSA T20 under 19 tournament, and he was excellent in that tournament, really, for Hudson Park. And that's where I met him, and I spoke to him for the first time, and we got to know each other a little bit. And then, yeah, he signed for Western Province, and I really thought, this is going to be the place for him. He's going to really excel here. And then he didn't get picked much. He wasn't getting really game time, a lot of game time. He wasn't, and when he got the opportunities, he wasn't really necessarily like um, wowing necessarily and bowling out of his skin with regards to that. Even though he was giving it his all and giving his best shot, he didn't really hit off, and now he's moved again. So we'll have to wait and see how he performs this season as well. A lot of these players are going to have an opportunity this season to really step up and show what they are capable of. Our batters fail against quality bowlers scoring low totals. Our domestic players are used to average bowlers, says Ahmed. Lawrence and Sean Whiteman might just be decent pick as a spinner, dominated Division 2. Not the best of batters, though. Another pick may be Sean Van Berg. Yeah, I mentioned him earlier on. Um, so Brian has already been picked up, Stuart, in the SA20. So we can't really look at him. Um, we did cover this, yes. For the guys that didn't get to watch yesterday's show, we covered this on yesterday's show, so you can go back and look at the guys that we mentioned from that list of players that already have been pre-bought in the auction. Too quick for Aishal Kluti. He needs a full season, not ready for international cricket. I agree that he needs another season. And this is the season. That's why I mentioned it, because we have some cricket now before that tour. Actually, quite happy about the SA20 clash. Even if New Zealand trash us, we will at least see our depth. Harley, that boy Neelan van Heerden, I've been screaming for him. His name on your channel. Would love it if he can get a go. Very good talent. Um, to Pavlin had an injury hit season, didn't play a lot of games last season. Yes, and that is true as well. I forgot to mention that. He did get hit by injuries. Unain saying, I think it will likely be Swanepoel, Olivier Pamela Steelman, and to Pavlon if he doesn't get picked in the auction. What happened to Aldred Hawken? Yeah, that is my thing. He was one of the fastest bowlers in domestic cricket, and 70% of the wickets are clean bowled. And yes, that's true. And I mentioned that earlier on the show, actually. I said, I remember talking to Monet Morkel at about 6 years ago, I think it was. And he told me that he mentioned Aldred Hawken as one of the up and coming youngsters that time. And I was always every season I would look and see how he's doing and see if it was the season that he broke through. Um, and the buzz around him kind of went quiet. I mean, Anik Nokia was the next best thing when it came to fast bowling. Um, and it went quiet around Aldred Hawken. And so I'm hoping that he can show that his true colors maybe this season. Senekwane, he's a talented cricketer. Just hope he performs consistently this season as I want him on a plane to New Zealand, says Lorenzo. Glenton Steerman, says Lichle. Um, yeah, so Glenton is an interesting one as well. He was selected in certain test squads, uh, and he is a player that is quite experienced in domestic cricket. So it is a possibility that he does get selected if he doesn't get picked up in the auction. Um, he's played one test already for South Africa, so it's not like he is or two tests, sorry, for South Africa. Um, and he took one wicket in a test in tests already. When we played against New Zealand in New Zealand. So it is another option, definitely another option. Um, so at least he knows the conditions already, and it will help him obviously climatize. We know that Clinton he moves the ball as well, and he's a very good first spell bowler. He does need to work on his second. He's bowling with an old ball, but with a new ball, he's quite deadly. Batting won't get much hit, but the batting won't get much of a hit. Timber being not there, bowling will really struggle, says Unain. And that's why I did the show today. I did the show because of that statement right there, because I know that in the bowling department is where we're going to probably have our hardest time to pick a team. We've been quite reliant on our fast bowlers for a very long time in all matches. So, well, particularly Test cricket, it's going to be a massive hit to us, the bowling department, because we aren't necessarily producing a whole lot of fast bowlers that bowl 145 plus. It is a problem that we've had recently, but it works in cycles because we have guys that can be there for the next 5 years, and then we've got youngsters like Matthew Post, Gerald Kutsia, um, um, Kuena Mapaka coming through the system that also bowl quite quickly. And then we've got some other guys like Lee Fantanzi that I'm hoping it's a breakthrough season for him. That is also very quick and a fast bowler. Um, and some other guys too that I'm hoping that can step up and really be awesome, and really show their true potential. Fast bowlers tend to peak later on. Um, we don't always see the situation where a fast bowler comes through the system that is 19, 20, 21 playing international cricket. We've had a couple of freaks over the last couple of seasons, and last couple of years. But generally speaking, they get picked up maybe in the early 20s, 23, 24, round about there, perhaps, when they're more developed and they're fully in their stride and they know more about their injuries. Because fast bowlers pick up a lot of injuries. I hope Alda doesn't get the SA20 contract, says Hunain. Lutus Pamela, Lichle says, and Dwan Olivier. Dwan Olivier's been mentioned a lot on the show. Aldred Hawkins suffered a stress fracture in his back a few years ago and lost a lot of pace, which was the main weapon when he came through the system. He also flirted with retirement last season. Yeah, that is true. So that is true. Hunain, can they pick Carl Abbott? I know age isn't on the side, nor is the pace. Um, I doubt they will go for for Carl Abbott right now. Um, I know there's no more Colpacks, so it could be someone that they could look at, but would it be wise is the question. When will we see another Dale Steyn or Morne Morkel? Need bowlers who can bowl 20 straight overs without getting injured. T20 cricket is reducing the fast bowlers' longevity. Yeah, Amos, we will have to wait and see which bowlers step up and perform. Um, I think what happened to Hawken is that performing in more visible competitions like Global T20 as Nokia initially, or SA20 speeds up Proteus selection rather than 4-day series, and it definitely does. And that is very, very true. Gerald Coetzee as well in the MSL. That's where he made a name for himself, just like Nokia did in the MSL. Um, they bowled really well when it was still the MSL, and that's where they stood out. They really turned heads. People were like, "Wow, where did these players come from?" And a lot of people didn't know about them. I mean, I was waxing lyrical about Jeru Kutsia for quite some time because I got the opportunity to see him at Kaimajolo Week. So it really helps when I get to see these youngsters in action there. What are the odds of a Dane Patterson being selected? It's highly possible, I think. All off topic. Surely CSA can strike a deal with SEC for our captain to be released for the New Zealand tour. CSA can even work out a deal to compensate Pavuma. I know Temba is very proud to lead South Africa. Yeah, and I mean, we don't know who they're going to pick up as well. Like, is Timba going to play as many games as we think in the SEC in for SEC? Um, are they going to select him for the entire tournament? I mean, Timba came into the SA20 very late on. They selected him, um, so it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'm hoping that they can strike a deal with him. That would be a good thing for us, of course, to have our captain. Um, Actually, saying, will Tando replicate Papa's success? That's up to him. Um, that's completely in his own hands. The problem with the comparison is that they are very different bowlers. Tando isn't as quick as his father, and also on top of that, he's more of a swing bowler. Um, so I don't classify them as the same type of bowler. They don't have that same unorthodox type of action. So it will be completely up to Tando and what he wants in life. We need more competitive 4-day series for better performance in WTC. Um, I'm hoping that Stephen Tate can have a great season with the Tuskers this season. Another left armor. Yes. Kanise Moreki, Olivier Patterson, Stuart Mashantalanga. I think it's probably not an option. Um, and then Kanise and Sean Whitehead as a spinner, who was mentioned earlier on in the show. So yeah, we're going to be facing some difficult decisions, but it's going to, the one thing that we can say, it's going to be a very big domestic season for a lot of players this season. It's an opportunity now really for these players to step up and say to the coach, look here, um, I have what it takes to to give you what you need in this particular test series. It will literally be a trial. This domestic season is literally going to be a trial for that positions because, as you know, a lot of our second string players, like our SAA players, will be picked up in the auction or have already been picked up in the auction. So we're going to have to dig deeper into our pipeline to find these players that the coach can work with. And sometimes, when players don't get selected for the Proteas side, there is like, especially in a transition like we have now, it's also sometimes purely just because there's not enough space for everybody to be selected. So there might be a couple of surprises that we have, um, that we'll see. You don't know how a player um, plays, or how his performances increase, if his performances will increase or not, purely just by being able to represent his country. Um, we have seen quite a few players. Um, have seen quite a few players that have that would have had ordinary domestic campaigns, or they'd be consistent over a period of time. People wouldn't have been talking about them, but they get an opportunity for their country, and suddenly they they turn out to be stars. And we see this in other countries a lot of the time. I don't remember always seeing it in South Africa, but I think Andrik Nokia is maybe one of those potential players because he really came out of nowhere. But so for some people, because not a lot of our fans watch domestic cricket to that degree. So when Nandik Nokia got the opportunity to show what he can do in the MSL, he really shocked many people, and his rise to the top was quite meteoric. So it's very we might see a couple of surprises going into this new campaign. And I trust the coach to make the right decisions, because he's a very good reader of character and also mentality. So that's something that you will be able to pick up instantly in players. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a very, very interesting one, when it comes to who we're going to be selecting for the season. And having Pete Botha in the mix, um, that also he knows a lot of the domestic players, has worked with a lot of the bowlers, so he'll also be able to give some insight into who are the guys that are potential signings, or not signings, but not signings, but potential um, players to form part of the team and the squad. I don't think this is fair to compare our past bowling legends with the current crop. Four-day cricket was the main barometer back then, and yet played a lot of it, which helped their development. It's T20 now, says Lawrence, and Mikhail Pretorius is with PC with the Pretoria Capitals. Lichtley says Stean van Zyl can open the batting with Alga. He's with the Rocks, and that's also another option. And also possibly also Peter Malan is also another option to get selected. And he could also turn over his arm a bit as well, as you can see. I think he has. I looked at the list that he's actually has the best strike rate and the best economy with the ball in hand. Yes, he hasn't bowled a lot of overs, but it was quite funny to see that when I saw who has the best economy rates and strike rates in 4-day cricket. Um, and Peter Malan is right on top over there. Um, in 3 matches, 1 wicket, an average of 5, an economy of 1.66 in his 3 matches that he's played. So very, very good. I mean, he's only conceded 5 runs. Um, and his BBI is 1 for 5. So maybe turn over the arm there, but for as well. Um, Ahmed said IPL noticed Nokia before CSA because he played only a few matches in Mzansi before getting injured. It seems foreign scouts are better than. No, that's not true, Ahmed. The IPL likes to claim that they found players before. He's been in the system and people knew about him for the players and coaches knew about him already for a while. Pete Botha was working with him for a very long time. It's the fans that didn't know about him. Not It's the fans that weren't aware because he did pick up a couple of injuries as well that kept him out of domestic cricket. And um, he was someone that was spoken about amongst domestic cricket, amongst the players, as well as amongst the coaches. Um, the MSL gave him a boost to stardom, yes, but people knew about him. Lichle saying David Bedingham. This will be David Bedingham season, you know. I really think so. I thought it would have been David Bedingham season even before this opportunity as presented itself, because a lot of us were calling for David Bedingham to possibly be selected in the Proteas setup in that number 5 position even before this whole SA20 clash happened. So David was injured the whole entire for massive part of or for the whole of last season. He didn't play any games for Western Province. He was injured from the get go. So this will be the season that he can really put his name back in the hat as a potential player to be on that plane. And I think he would rival play if he does have a good season. He could possibly even rival the first 11, the best 11 that we have in South African cricket. Um, Hunain saying if we have to go this route, I hope young players are prioritized over those who are close to retirement, says Hunain. I think there'll be a balance between both, because you still want to be competitive and you still want to be able to try and win. And I know that might sound a bit cocky, or it might sound a bit um, delusional to some people, but it's possible. You never know. Probable, maybe not, but possible. Um, we we have, I think we have some quality, a lot of quality players in domestic cricket that won't be selected for the test side. So this might be a good opportunity for them to really show that is true. Lichles and hoping Rwanda Swat can have a great season with the Dragons, and I think I'm in that party too. I'm a big fan of his. We have a good relationship, so yeah, I wish him the best as well. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to obviously subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell for all future videos. I hope you enjoyed today's show. It was something different, um, something that I had to come up with, because at the moment cricket news is completely dead. There's not much happening. Let me know in the comment section if you who you want me to interview next. Maybe I can try to organize some interviews for you guys, bring them on the show. Tomorrow will be our Q&A session, so watch out for our Instagram story, because on our Instagram story we put a little option for you guys to ask questions, and then I ask them out on the show. But keep your questions for the live chat as well, so that we can get into a little Q&A session. It's the Friday Q&A session tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to answering all of your questions. And you guys don't have to necessarily only keep it to cricket. The Q&A session on a Friday is for you guys to get to know me a little bit better, as well as talk about some of your other interests that maybe are aligned with me. So you can ask any questions that you'd like on that show, and I'll try my best to answer them um, as soon as as best as I can. But thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Please download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. I'd also like you guys to please help me out and help the company out and help this channel out by becoming a patron today. This is what's keeping us going, guys. So please become a patron and help us create the content we're creating, and better, and do more with Cricket Fanatics magazine. Become a patron today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also, smash that like button to help us get into recommended feeds and help us on the journey to 4,000 subscribers. We're about 50 away. Click that subscribe button, click that notification bell. About 33% of you guys are watching the videos and not subscribed. So please subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell. Right. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow for the Q&A session. Stay safe. A lot of people are getting sick out there, so please stay safe and hydrated and drink your vitamins, etc. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Stay safe. Peace out.